So remember that tomorrow we have our what? Our field trip, right? And we are going up to the mountains. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing over there is we are going to be collecting twigs and branches, okay? Because we're going to have an activity that's going to be connected to what Mr. Gorman is having with you in science, right? What is it? Mixtures and solutions, right? Your unit.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So tomorrow we are going to be collecting those branches and twigs. But we are going to have only sections of those branches and twigs. And so we're going to have to figure out a way in which we can just have a certain part of that branch or twig. But we're going to look at that tomorrow. I think that what we are going to do today is going to give us a great idea of how we are going to collect those twigs and branches tomorrow. So looking over here, all eyes on me, repeat after me. I will model fractions using Cuisenaire rods. And raise your hand if you know which are the Cuisenaire rods. Yes. Oh, those right there said, very good. Okay. So right there, every team has a set of Cuisenaire rods. And I know that in 4th grade you had already looked at fractions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to revisit this, okay? And if you say, no, you know what, I don't quite remember fractions on 4th grade, then you're in for a treat. You know why? Because we're going to look at them today, okay? So over here, I have a challenge for all of you. In fact, I have quite a few number of challenges. So the first one is if we can represent 1/5 using the Cuisenaire rods. Now, in order for us to represent 1/5, we first need to know what the whole is, right? So open your Cuisenaire rods. One of you can, and if you can sit close over here, right there, here we go. That way you're not going to be on the other side of the team. Okay, so we are going to take out the orange rod. Okay, we are going to take out the orange rod. Everybody has the orange rod?
Yes.
Okay, so my question would be, which of these rods that you have here, or there in this case, would represent 1/5? Now for that, I am going to give you, let me put it right here. I'm going to give you, what do you say, 2 minutes?
Yeah, no. 30 seconds. We need like a second. Yeah. 30 seconds.
Let's get 2 minutes starting right now. Let's see.
We got it. So a 10th, if we separate it, is a.
So you'd say that this represents 1/5?
Yeah, because
Why?
there's 10 of these.
Oh, 1/5. Okay, so
One of these, and
How much we
I'm not really sure to explain it, but there's 10 versions of all these, which are
I can't quite hear you, so if you can speak up.
okay. So look, whenever you add all
Okay,
these ones and put them on here,
we put these two together, and here we have 1/5. Yeah.
they all represent a whole, and you can count how much there are. That's how big the whole is.
Okay. But then why would this represent 1/5?
Okay, so
Because this is all 10.
Uh-huh.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And both of these equals 2, which equals this. And since if it's 1/5, you have to double 1 to make it 2 and 5 to make it 10. Which has to be 2 out of 10, which is this one.
So what do you kids think? Have you had the time to share with your teammates your thinking?
Maybe.
Yeah?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, do me a favor. Share with them your thinking and see if you agree with Seth. And I'm going to come back and revisit, okay? And see what the consensus is with the rest of the team, okay? I'll be right back.
That's 1/5, and there has to be 5.
What do you think?
We think this is 1/5
Why?
because over here where it says all we will learn, where it says over there fractions, decimals, and
Percentages?
yeah. The 1/5 is written in the
Oh, so do you think that that color is always going to represent 1/5?
No, but we think it might. We think.
So you think it might?
Yeah, but
Okay.
but we don't think all the time it's gonna be. We just think this might be.
So how would we know if this in fact represents 1/5 other than that anchor chart that you have there?
Using 5 to measure out one of these.
So do you think we could measure it? Maybe, I don't know.
5 grain squares.
We could iterate the green rods, see if it gives us 1/5. You want to try that out? I'm going to give you an extra minute. I know our time is up. I'm going to give you an extra minute, okay?
You got it.
No, but then this makes.
Maybe it's this one. Yeah, it's that one.
Look, this looks a lot bigger.
Hold on.
Okay. So how many rods do we have there?
5.
5 red rods?
Yeah. Because there's 2
Okay, so if we just want to represent 1/5, how would we represent it? Like that? With just 1 red rod?
Yeah.
So it wasn't the same color, right? Ah, you gotta watch out for that, right? But hey, you did a nice job right there. Okay. All eyes on me.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so let me close this and let me go back over here. So I only got a chance of hearing 2 teams. And the 2 teams that I heard, at the end they gave me an explanation of what they think would represent 1/5. And both of these teams picked the red rod. And so I'm gonna give an opportunity for let me see, Anthony. Can you tell us why your team thought that the red rod would represent 1/5?
Because the red rod took 5 of them to equal the 1 hole, so we thought it was 1/5 because one of them was what? So 5 of them make 1 hole, and then when he said represent 1/5, we took away 4, so that way it shows 1 hole and 1 of the 5 units.
Oh, okay. So let me see if I understood you correctly. So it took 5 red rods to make a hole.
Yeah.
And so if we are just going to represent 1/5, that would mean 1 out of how many?
5.
1 out of 5. So according to what you and your teammates were mentioning, this red rod would represent 1/5, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think? Do we agree? Do we disagree? What do you think? Yeah? Okay, we're all in agreement. Okay, awesome. So, do you think this was easy?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, let them wait for the second challenge. Okay, so, second challenge. Okay, so if an orange rod represents still 1 hole, how would you model 3/5? Okay? Remember, discuss it with your, if you have an idea, share it with your teammates. And if everybody agrees, you give me a call and I'll come and visit you.
3
So, which rod would represent the fifth? Do you remember? The red ones? No? So, what did we represent in the previous exercise? One what? 1/4.
Oh no, 1/5
1/5. And how did we represent 1/5?
with 5 of these, and then 1.
Okay, so if the whole is the orange rod, then all these red rods, how many red rods did we need it to okay, 5. So thinking about that, how do you think we would be able to represent 3/5?
This is a 5. No, this is a 5th. It's a 5th. Alan, it literally tells you right there. This is a 5th. It tells you.
Why would that represent 3/5?
Because there's one whole equals 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if it's 3/5 we want, we just take away the 2 to make it 3/5.
And one of these is 1/5, so then if you add 2 more, then that's 2/5. I mean, 3/5.
Okay, so one of these, let me see if I understood correctly. One of these represented 1/5, right?
Yes.
And okay, so Jaden, if your team is saying that this represents 3/5, right? And why does this represent 3/5?
Well, because, for example, 3/5, there's like 3 right here, which represents that. And then if we like 1, 2, 3, 4, and if we add this, so we said, but it'll be 4/5, so we take out this one. So it can be more accurate.
Okay. Okay, so because it is 3 out of 5, because you need 5 red rods, right? That's what you said? So if we only put 3, that would represent 3/5, 3 out of 5? Okay. Okay.
We did it.
Yes.
We got it.
I like confused with it.
Let me see. Which one represents 3/5?
This one.
How do you know?
Because with these 3, it filled in the fifth. Like that.
Okay, so these red rods represent 3/5?
Yeah.
Right? Because how many rods do you need to make the whole?
5.
5, okay. And what is this green rod? Why did you put it here?
Because we found that it's like a 5th too.
So, in other words, are you telling me that it has the same what? Same length? Are they they're similar? You got to think of that, right? Yeah, you know what? We do have to think. You know, that is interesting, right? That they have the same length. It does make us wonder that maybe there are other rods that have the same length, have the same value, right? We definitely have to think about that. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Awesome. Okay. So, from what I heard, some of the teams over here, they mentioned that, well, if the orange rod represents the whole, 3 red rods would represent 3/5. But you know what? There was an interesting observation made by this team over here, where they took this green rod and they noticed that it had the same length as 3 red rods, which is kind of interesting. That maybe we could use other what? Other rods to maybe that maybe are going to have the same what?
Length.
Same length? You think?
Yes.
Yes, Rose.
So what I'm getting is that we don't always have to use the same blocks to make one single block, because you can try to use these like different type of blocks and see if you can find other blocks that represent the same one, just whole, and it's not like indivisible, like they're
Right.
like separate.
Yeah, you know what? That's the same thing I was thinking, that probably these other rods could help us when we're trying to work with the same value, right, as other rods put together. Okay. Oh, you're going to like this next one. And I'm going to give points to any team that really thinks about it, okay? If the orange rod represents the number 1 hole, how would you model 1/10? Go!
So
It's just there. 1/10. We
Oh,
got
I
it.
see that many of you already have it. Give me a second. Let me visit this team right here. Wow, you decided to grab the white blocks. Why did you decide to grab the white blocks?
The white ones could fill up this hole,
Uh-huh.
and there's 10 of these.
Oh.
This one can represent 1/10.
So just one of them could represent 1/10. Because you have 10 of the white ones.
Yeah, because it fills the hole of this one, and there's 10 of these.
Okay. Hey, I'm kind of curious. Who already has it? Ah. Okay, let me see. Can you grab the rod that would represent 1/10 and hold it up in the air? Oh, okay. You see, I knew you were going to get that one pretty easy because I know that all of you are very smart, and because of that, let me give all of you a point for being risk takers and thinkers. Well, I'm going to give you one for being thinkers because you really put your mind to it. Okay, so this is the last one I'm going to give you for today. This is the last challenge, okay? I don't know how you're going to do with this one, but let's see. Okay, so this is a 2-part. Okay, so first, place your models for 3/5. So do we remember, how did we represent 3/5?
Oh yeah, with this.
Yeah, we definitely had that green rod, right? We also had how many red ones?
3.
Okay, so if you want to grab the green one, if you want to grab 3 reds, put them right there on your desks. And also, grab the one that represents 1/10. Which one represented 1/10?
The white little square.
The white one, right? Okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you put them together? Just put it like this. So you're going to put, I'm going to use the 3 red ones.
What?
wait, but if we
Wait, I'm not done. I haven't told you what the question is yet. So you have 3 red ones. You have 1 white one, right?
Yeah.
Can you place them on your desk like that?
Yeah. Hey! She stole
Okay,
my
remember, we got to share. We got to share.
She stole my blocks and she had 3 of them on her desk.
Okay, so the question is, how would you represent the addition of these 2 fractions?
Oh,
how would you represent the addition of these two fractions? In other words, if we put these two fractions together, what fraction do we have?
Black.
Oh,
Work with your teams.
black. We have the black ones. We have the black ones because these right here
Uh-huh.
make the green.
Okay.
But then if you add this one,
Right.
it will make the black because then it won't be just these three, but then it'll be another one added to it. So then it'll be longer than before.
Okay, hey, that's great. So my question is, so what fraction does the black one represent? If the orange one is the whole, and this is the addition of these two put together, what fraction is the black one?
It's not 5/10, right?
See, that's what we got to think about. What fraction would that black rod represent?
So we have these connect these right there.
This is a 4.
And then this together is
This 1/6?
I don't know.
1/6?
Yeah.
Why do you think it would be 1/6?
Because I think this is a 1/4, and then you have 1/4, and you put them together, and it makes a 4.
Okay. So let's say, so if this was 1/6, that would mean that this was one out of how many?
1 out of
6.
Out of 6, right? So if we have one here, and we have a second one here, that would be 2/6, right? Oh, but what happened? Yeah, it went over the hole, right? So maybe we'll I mean, we do know that a black one is the addition of, how much was the 3 rods?
it was 1/5.
That's 3.
One of
So that there are 3 together, those are 3/5, right? And we know that one what?
1/10.
1/10.
is
If we put them together, it has the same length as the black rod. But the question is, what fraction does this black rod represent? You know what? Do you think that maybe, I don't know, could we maybe put the black rod aside and try to use other rods that we already know their value? Let's try that out, see if it works. I'll be right there with you, let's see. Let me first visit them. Okay, so what do you, oh,
We think it's
talk to me.
We think it's black too because if this one is a 5th and this is like a 6th, you technically are just adding one more cube.
Uh-huh.
So then it's like a. That actually changes everything because if this was a 5th, why couldn't it just be one more cube? But we think it's this one because as how we used 3 for this one,
Uh-huh.
and we just needed to add one more cube to
One more?
the 6.
Okay. And you know what? That is a great way of looking at it, right? That 3/5 and 1/10 has the same length or value as the black rod. The question would be, what fraction does the black rod represent? You know, when we put it against the hole, which is the orange one, what fraction does this black rod represent? That's something that we need to think about because that's what I'm asking you to tell me.
Put it back.
I'll be right there with you. Okay, let me see. Talk to me.
we think that the black rod represents 1/7
Why do you think that the black rod represents 1/7?
because when we put it like this, it's not fully.
Uh-huh.
And then we added the third one, and since there's only 3 left,
Uh-huh.
so 10 minus 3 is 7. So we think that it represents the fraction.
Okay, so if 10, which is the whole, right, minus 3 is 7. That's why you think that this black rod represents 1/7. Okay. So 1/7, that means that it's 1, right? The black rod would represent 1 out of how many? Would be 1 out of how many? You see? Because if it's 1 out of 7, that means that this is 1 out of another 6, right? But you know what? It's interesting that you used these white cubes. So, So think about, okay, so what you said was if I take away 3, then you end up with how many? You said with how many? You said?
7.
Okay, the question would be 7 what? Or 7 out of how many?
7 10.
Down to the kitchen.
7 out of 10? Huh, interesting. 7 out of 10. So we have how many blocks here? 7. Huh, let me see. Let's count them. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and 7. There we go, right? 7. Okay, 7. So 7/10 is the same as this black rod? Okay. So how would that compare with this right here?
Bro, stop moving.
So 7/10 would be the same as what? You know what? I think you are onto something there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Okay, so I heard some teams that some teams noticed that the black rod had the same length as 3/5 and 1/10, right?
And also,
But the question was, how much does the black rod represent? And that's where we're kind of reached the roadblock, right? But I do notice that some teams have other rods that are up against the black rod. So I'm kind of curious. Let me see this team, Rosie. Can you tell us what you have there?
Okay, so this was an idea that she thought of, but we were
Well,
thinking
how
that.
about if we let Aina explain it to us?
We got 7 of the little cubes and put them next to a black.
the 7/10.
So you put how many white cubes?
7 10
You put 7/10 right next to what?
to the 1/7 red rock. I don't know.
Next to this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this black rod. So what is the value of this black rod? What is the
1/7.
1/7? Why would you say that this would represent 1/7?
Actually, Rosie got the idea of 1/7.
Of 1/7?
Yeah.
Okay, so how much do you think the black rod would represent?
I don't know.
Okay. But it's interesting, right? This team put 7/10, which are the white blocks. They put them right next to the black rod.
That means.
And we notice that it's the same length as the 2 fractions we're adding, right? Which is 3/5 and 1 what? What? How much does this little white block represent?
Or no, 1/10.
1/10, right? So if we put together 3/5 and 1/10, what would be the value of those 2 fractions put together? What fraction would be 3/5 and 1/10 put together? Let me see. Anthony.
7/10.
7/10. Because it has the same what?
Same value of the the 3 red squares and the 1 white square.
Okay. Okay, so unfortunately our time is up, but tomorrow when we go to our field trip, at least we're going to have an idea of how to cut those twigs to match a certain length, right?
Yes.
It's an idea, and we will definitely continue with our challenges on Wednesday, okay? So thank you very much.